Video games are art. I don't really think there are many people left out there with balls shriveled enough to disagree, but not only are they an art form, they're a beautiful collaborative piece crafted over years and years of back-breaking work. Now, am I saying that this is art? Yeah, because if this is art, then this is art. But art is subjective. There's some art I like more than other art. The Northman? Yes, please. The Scarlet Letter? That's gonna be a honk me from me. Give me The Stranger any day. Good art, bad art. In the end, none of this shit matters more than the individual's response. And the money! But to avoid a complete psychological collapse, we're gonna stick with what I can fathom. Funny button presses. When you think of video games through the lens of art, the conversation generally moves to the visuals or the music. Two things which are hot topics for seemingly different reasons. For well over a decade, studios were absolutely blinded by the asinine desire to make things as photorealistic as possible. Stop! Please, it's not working. I don't need to see every individual pour on Noctis's face, okay? Real life is hard enough. I'm here for the funny little block people. I kid, of course. Realism in video games is necessary to really push the industry forward. But nowadays, people seem to latch on to style far more than straight up man. We no longer need real denim, we have red lines. Ha, oh yeah, red lines, baby. Graphical fidelity used to define a video game. Now it seems that people realistically don't care provided the game isn't, straight up ugly. Music, however, is a very different conversation. If a game has an engaging story, fun gameplay, and good presentation, what music track plays where doesn't matter, right? Now, realistically, nobody actually says that, but music is not generally considered among the necessary pillars of game design. Let me strawman a bit, okay? It's been a hard decade. Sonic Chronicles didn't explode solely because of the 4KB MIDI tracks, but you're not gonna convince me it didn't play a big part. The importance of a video game score cannot be understated, and I'd argue it's far more important than most people give it credit for. Now, am I a music man? Not at all. I listen to Coldplay, alright? Does that tell you what you need to know? Still though, I know good video game music when I hear it. Case in point, my bread and butter, Bravely Default. I'm assuming a lot of y'all already know about my It's Complicated relationship with the original Bravely title. While I love its characters, concepts, and combat, the game just explodes. It's incredibly bloated, far too repetitive for its own good, and despite the second half of the plot resting on the back of an absolutely phenomenal twist, it does not handle it well in regards to the gameplay. You can technically skip a very large portion of that repetition, but I don't want to do that. It causes you to miss some of the best character moments the series has to offer, and, the good ending. It's kind of a lose-lose situation when you think about it. And I'm convinced I wouldn't have finished the game if it wasn't for the unapologetically god-tier battle themes. Most people say music plays second fiddle to gameplay and story. And I would agree, but an emotionally impactful score can carry an experience when one of those happens to collapse. And no song is quite as important as what plays when you go all in. So what if the story realistically makes no sense or isn't grabbing me the way I thought? Every time I draw my sword, I hear the best piece of music I've ever heard. And alright, the gameplay might be terrible too. These sounds make me want to piss. And when you go that step further like Bravely Default did, giving each character a unique battle theme for when they pull their special move. Adia is attacker at all times, or theme's too much of a headbanger, a spleen splitter, if you will. When you fall in love with a battle theme, you know it. It sends chills down your spine, hypes you up to engage with the most repetitive of combat systems. I Am Setsuna is such an interesting experience. It's a product that exists almost solely to evoke emotions tied to another, more consistently memorable experience, yet ends up establishing its own identity through its incredibly unique atmosphere. That uniqueness coming from the strange lack of uniqueness, the uniformity of the world you explore. You're in an ice age, everything looks the same. Why would we give you a world map? That's ridiculous! The soundtrack is also a standout, not just for RPGs, but for games in general. A lone piano, tossing its notes to the wintry breeze. This game can be haunting. I never really considered how a piano would be able to create an entire battle track by itself, but when the rest of your music is also piano, I guess it isn't too difficult to up the ante by adding something as simple as backing drums. The thing I find interesting about I Am Setsuna's No Turning Back is that I can hear this song as a more traditionally composed piece, but the fact the composer still stuck to the piano in order to keep the vibes alive through every fight is very admirable. This is one of the best examples of the visuals and music working together and creating a truly unique atmosphere. Here is another example on the opposite end of the spectrum. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a great game, at least in regards to the gameplay and the visuals. The world you explore is creepy. You're constantly passing by landmarks that are easily recognizable but have been absolutely decimated. There's no open sky. I don't know, I always thought that was kind of cool. The key difference between this and any other textbook apocalyptic world is that this world is only an apocalypse from our point of view. The world is not dead, it's simply changed hands. Demons inhabit it as humans desperately clutch to the fringe. And the music to accompany this world is haunting and lonely, but only because it feels so alien. It's unpredictable, uncomfortable, a Mars top 5 hit. If I'm to be frank, you feel alone not because the world is empty, it's actually populated by a lot of things, but because you're in a world that no longer belongs to you. The music sells that perfectly. The battle themes are on another level. They sell that same energy and accomplish the alien, unfathomable vibe, but with a chaotic and aggressive pace. This is the music that I would hear in a dream before everything goes silent. I recollect. And wake up. Now, these aren't exactly examples of a battle theme carrying me through a bad combat system, but in SMT5's case, it's a very mentally taxing game to play, and if I hadn't jived with the battle themes, or if I found that disturbing alien sound to be grating, then I probably wouldn't have felt the motivation to push through the harder challenges, because the story is not exactly the best draw here. And that's kind of the key. A good battle theme is a motivator. Keeps the energy high, helps raise emotion where it's appropriate, forces you through the challenge. Alright, I met my daily quota. Motoi Sakuraba is a gosh dang madman. He has been working in the industry for decades and consistently creates great Tales of soundtracks, has a trilogy of masterful chiptune tracks with the Golden Sun games. Dark Souls? Excuse me? A man can only get so sexy as per national law. But I'll always stand by Star Ocean, the second story being one of, if not his best work. If I'd kiss this man, I'd kiss this man twice. Star Ocean 2 has absolutely amazing music from top to bottom. It utilized the PlayStation sound font in such an interesting way, applying a heavy reverb to pretty much everything, a super interesting vibe that I've never really seen replicated since. But the battle themes are truly something else, which is good because there's only one main track and you'll have to grind this combat system out quite a bit. Well, at least if you aren't exploiting the item creation until Clyde gets a very specific skill right in the beginning of the game, which allows you to acquire one of the strongest weapons in the first 5 hours. I mean, then you'll be good. Let's get some Vegas appreciation in the chat real quick. The main battle theme, Stab the Sword of Justice, is strong. Good drums and bass really sets it apart from other fantasy games by leaning more into the electric side of things. I mean, it's all synthesized, but you get what I'm saying. The boss theme, Dynamite, on the other hand, is one of the most high-tension, oh shit kind of headbangers. Most bosses in the first half of this game aren't particularly difficult, but it takes a while to get to the first boss proper, and when you do, this song sends shivers. In fact, throughout the first half, it doesn't play much at all. It's reserved for the fights that deserve the heightened attention. And with a drum track as fast and chaotic as this song has, I'm ready to get my ass kicked. And believe me, when you get to the second disc, you will. However, this game's main villains, the 10 Wise Men, are hyped up as unbelievable, unfathomable entities, far too strong for any mere mortal to cross blades with. So how do you craft an atmosphere that complements the impact they have when you finally get to face off against them? Well, you could just make a whole song for every fight. Each theme hits so insanely hard, and considering the 10 Wise Men are above and beyond any of the other fights this game has to offer, it's only right they get special themes. There's one point in the story where you fight multiple of these guys back to back, and each time that music kicks in and establishes each one as a unique threat, each an obstacle fitting of a unique track. Shit's kinda scary in all honesty. That last 4 to 5 hours of second story are truly unforgettable, and that is in big part due to the music. All 3 of the mainline Xenoblade games achieve this in based fashion as well, but alongside the high-octane, stress-inducing boss themes, they sport themes used solely for the long, beautifully animated cutscenes that accompany the hands-on combat. I don't see people talk about this nearly enough, but it really is crazy just the amount of impact Xenoblade's key moments have, because you not only get to directly fight the fight, but then you get to watch it play out with gorgeous, beautiful animation. Obviously, this isn't the franchise that invented good cutscenes, but most games you walk into a room, boss, you fight boss on his knees. These songs focus heavily on creating emotion, whether that be desperation, a twinge of hopeful sadness, or sheer badassery, many times moving in between multiple different emotions, taking you on a journey. A perfect example is Xenoblade 2's counterattack, which is used multiple times during pivotal moments of the story. It moves from slow, rising tension into a burst of action, into a down period of sadder, slower backing bass. These cutscenes are many times directed to move with the highs and lows of the track. You really feel like you're watching a climactic episode of your favorite TV show. So much of the emotional impact is crafted by the music, directing my feelings along to the ebbs and flows of what I'm seeing. I might be crying, but at the very least, I'm crying with the composer. Emotion. Haven't had one of those in a minute. Maybe I'll try one of those new DLC drops. You want emotion? More specifically, a classic, good, inspirational emotion? Dragon Quest VIII is an absolutely beautiful game. A grand adventure full of colorful characters. Goku around every corner. Go ahead, check your pockets. Check the corners of your eyes while you're at it. Exploring Dragon Quest VIII is a fairly standard early 3D open world experience. Luckily for us 2023 PS2 RPG enjoyers, the overworld theme is the prettiest thing ever. And I have a child! But when those invisible enemies take over, this is the scariest moment of my freaking life. Playing Dragon Quest VIII fundamentally stays entertaining despite its relatively simple overworld and combat system, because the music just feels so right. Its booming nature heightens the tension, giving the fight a sense of importance, even though this game is indeed very easy. It's like the game saying, hey, relax. Enjoy the summer breeze. Breathe a little. And then kill yourself! If I had to put turn-based RPGs on a scale of classic design to complete innovation, Dragon Quest is over here. Each entry tends to have one or two small changes to spice up a given combat system. 9 had the coup de grace in multiplayer, 5 had monster taming, and 8 has the tension system. But this is still very much a simple turn-based experience. That's not to say Dragon Quest VIII isn't fun. I honestly find it entertaining how with very minor changes this is just this. But Dragon Quest instead thrives off of the atmosphere it creates, the characters, the story, the world, the monster designs, and of course, the music. Fully orchestral tracks, like you're in the theater for the best freaking big band you've ever seen. Of course I want to fight little tiny slimes to the boom of trumpets and grand percussion. When your battle theme is being performed by a whole ass orchestra, dozens of professional musicians playing for you, what you're doing feels so impactful and important, even though, like I said, it's not. When a battle theme just doesn't hit right, it can turn an otherwise fun affair into something that you just don't jive with. A good example from the Star Ocean series would be the standard boss theme from the PSP remake of the original title. Where am I, the silly convention? This thing's terrifying! Now that's not to say that every battle theme needs to be some grand, high-octane explosion of testosterone, booming trumpets, and raging guitars. A game that I think delivers a calmer, cozier vibe through its core battle themes is Atelier Ryza. There are 2 battle themes in this game, the first being Enlightenment, a rather tame track all things considered, with staccatos and a strange pace. I don't really know what I'm supposed to feel from this one though. It's not tension, the tone is too whimsical, but the occasional skipped half-beat creates a strangely nerve-wracking pace. Overall, this track sounds far more in line with something that would play in a tutorial, a bit motivational and down to earth. It feels like the beginning of an adventure, something that would play during the preparation and not the main course. The second battle track, Rainy Season Wheat Wind, is no more intense, but I would say it's a bit less whimsical and deeper in its instrumentation. This song feels as if you've dived straight into the adventure. You're exploring a beautiful world, and I just remembered it doesn't matter, everybody bought this game for the same reason. Give it a chance if you haven't though. I think the reason I like Ryza's second battle track more than the first is that despite actually moving moving at a slower tempo. It gets to its most energetic act much sooner. When I first wrote this script, I took a far harsher stance to Enlightenment, but upon going back and really listening to it, it's a pretty damn good song, but it takes about half of its runtime to get to the meat. An ideal main battle track rises to its energetic meat as soon as possible, because a lot of the time, battles aren't gonna last very long. You know, unless if you're playing in the highest difficulty, which starts you out with status effects at the beginning of every fight. Excuse me, ma'am. When I first played Ryza, I barely ever heard past the first minute of this song, which definitely contributed to my distaste towards it. But these days, I am just simply vibing way too hard. That drama is cool when it's thigh-induced. Tracks with a steady groove can really supply a unique vibe too. Instead of feeling tension or anxiety when a fight breaks out, sometimes it's preferable to just want to get up and dance. Mario and Luigi tracks all knock this vibe out of the park. Superstar Saga's battle theme is constantly on loop in my head. Dream Team's orchestral masterpiece of a track on loop when I'm driving. Baby Luigi's little monkey dance animation. I ain't seeing the road, man. I'm seeing heaven. These battle tracks never get old. They're so full of life and energy. They're not threatening. They don't jerk a tear to my eye or provide a oh shit I'm about to die moment, but Cockleta's final boss theme most certainly does. You go from Mario and Luigi on a wacky adventure to metal guitar riffs, and oops, my lungs are just laying on that floor. This game saves the more traditional sounding battle track for its biggest boss, therefore doubling the impact. Chills everywhere. I can go on and on about how important a battle theme is and how reinforcing an emotion through gameplay, story, and music is integral to selling the impact, but y'all understand. I'm no music buff, okay? Put a gun to my head and ask me what harmonics are. Better bring a dustpan too, I think there's some cobwebs growing up there.
Oh, now that's a movie!
Everyone has a track they remember instilling emotion in them when they were a child and unaware of how the world really worked. Hell, I played Till the End of Time 2 years ago and still think about the few times this specific track plays at least every day. Comment down below what your personal favorite video game soundtrack is. This is an order, by the way.
All the away.
Hello, Mario.
Was that the bite?
Huh?